Hello dear viewers and welcome to RTD's English News Edition, the major stories. The head of state returned to the capital after participating in the 5th summit between the AU and the EU. The Republic of Djibouti celebrates the birth of Prophet Muhammad, may peace and blessings be upon him. Those are the top stories, and thank you for joining us in our newsroom. The President of the Republic, Ismail Margeli, returned this afternoon to the capital after attending the 5th summit between the African Union and the European Union held in Abidjan, the capital of Côte d'Ivoire. Upon his descent from the aircraft, the head of state was greeted by the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, President of the National Assembly Mohammed Ali Hamad, members of the government, senior civil and military authorities of the country, and the Secretary General of the Prime Minister. Let's remind that the main theme of the AU-EU summit was investing in youth for sustainable future. Foreign Affairs Minister Mohammed Ali Yusuf, the Secretary of State for Youth and Sports Hassan Kamil Mohammed, accompanied the President during his visit to Abidjan. The 5th Europe-Africa Summit ended this Thursday in Abidjan on the strong commitment of the leaders of the two continents to fight against the tragedy of illegal immigration and its excesses, like the slave markets in Libya. Humanitarian action must be carried out quickly in Libya. Networks of smugglers must be put out of harm's way, and an international investigation must be carried out. Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara said at the closing meeting, more than 700 million Africans are under 25, or 60% of the continent's population. Hundreds of thousands of young people desperate for unemployment, poverty and lack of opportunity in their countries, despite enviable growth rates from some of them, are trying to immigrate to Europe every year. Aware of the need to act in the long term to give a future to African youth, African and European leaders agreed at the summit to intensify efforts to provide a quality education, said President Ouattara, with the special efforts on girls' education. The closing ceremony of the technology as well as digital, he also called for increased investment to accelerate economic growth to provide jobs for youth. The EU is showing support for the G5 Sahel, Mali, Niger, Mauritania, Burkina Faso, Chad, which is trying to establish an anti-jihadist force in this region, but funding for this force is still largely insufficient. Only half of its budget was raised, although halved to 240 million euros. An international meeting will be held on December 13 in Paris to accelerate the deployment of the multinational force, said the Elysee on Thursday, meeting to which will be invited key partners of the joint force, the EU, UN and the AU. In an exclusive interview given to our colleague Ali Abdullahi, French President Emmanuel Macron has expressed his hope that this meeting will allow the emergence of a partnership of equals, free from the now outdated donor-recipient relationship. And now moving on to the national news. As part of the celebration of the birth of the Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, a donation ceremony for new residents of the Nasib district took place last night, and this donation consists of food from the President of the Republic and the First Lady of the country. The inhabitants of the city named Nasib all participated yesterday in this very beautiful ceremony of Maulud al-Nabi, which was animated by the ulama of the district. The French High School of the Djibouti, Lycée Joseph Kizel, organized on Tuesday a school competition entitled Trophée Hérodote, and this is in the context of major school competition sponsored by the MENFOP. And this mini competition, which took place in the library room of the French High School of Djibouti, involved several schools. It should be noted that the competition covered topics in the history, geography and civic and moral education programs, as well as quizzes and true or false questions. At the end of a very competitive first around Ambuli and Charles de Foucault colleges found themselves in the final before a brilliant victory for Ambuli's college, which won the score on 100 points at 70. The Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, yesterday received in his cabinet a delegation of students of the Ambuli College team who won the school competition Trophée Redot. The ceremony of the 84th anniversary of the Emperor of Japan, which is also a national holiday in Japan, was celebrated last night at the Kempinski Palace. The ambassador of Japan in Djibouti, Tatsu Are, has welcomed the national officials whose Energy Minister Yonis Ali-Gedi, the former Prime Minister Mr. Dilaita Mohammed, the ambassador of Djibouti in Japan, Ahmed Areta, parliamentarians of the High Representative of the Djiboutian state were at the ceremony. The members of the Japanese Djibouti Association took part in the evening organized by the NPC of Japan. The Japanese military staff in Djibouti have massively participated in the birthday ceremony of the Emperor, which is held everywhere in Japan and in the Japanese Chancellor's abroad. As part of a working visit, the Minister of Energy, Yonis Ali-Gedi, accompanied by the Minister of Equipment and Transport, Mohammed Abdul Qadir, and a strong delegation of the Ministry of the Energy went to Asaela to supervise the installation work of the new solar power station that supplies electricity, in whose first stone was laid by the Prime Minister on September 23, 2016. Also participating in this visit were the prefect of the Dekil region and the president of the regional council. During this visit, the Minister of Energy visited the different structures of the solar power station, including solar panels, the control room, the solar energy storage and distribution room, and the room for the battery storage that conserve energy. And after the inspection visit, the Minister of Energy, accompanied by the Minister of Equipment and Transport, the Prefect of the region of the Dekil, and the President of the Regional Council, met with Asaela's customary chiefs to explain the purpose of his visit and inquire about the grievances of the customary chiefs. Intervening, the Minister of Transport transmit first the greetings of the President of the Republic and the First Lady. He has continued saying that the solar plant that they visited was inaugurated by the Prime Minister 6 months ago and will be great help to the population of Asaela. The establishment of the solar power plants was initiated by the President of the Republic to meet the energy needs in the regions like Ali Ade, Aidelu, and now in Asaela. As for the Minister of Energy, Yonis Ali-Gedi thanked the population of Asaela for the warm welcome. He said that the solar power plant is operational now, and that with the population, they will operate this power plant, and commercial activities will improve through the availability of energy, and students will be able to learn lessons at night with light in their homes. The Secretary of State for Social Affairs participates in the conference on the inclusion of social parameters in the 2030 Sustainable Development Plan in the social policies of Arab countries, which is held from 27-29 November in Tunisia. This is a conference to present the different strategies of Arab countries and demonstrate how these strategies can contribute to the Sustainable Development 2030. Djibouti highlighted the actions planned in the National Social Protection Strategy 2018-2022, oriented towards social protection, social development accompanying vulnerable families. A special motion was reserved for persons with disabilities and the elderly by identifying specific actions to be included in sustainable development plans. Social Affairs Secretary of State emphasized the importance of directing our national strategies toward building and consolidating human capital and including vulnerable groups in the dynamics of development. The meeting room of the Hotel Acacia hosted yesterday the work of the third meeting for the National Network of Faith for the Fight Against Female Circumcision in Djibouti, known as and as well founded in November 2016. This meeting was organized by the Ministry of Muslim Affairs and Culture in close collaboration with the United Nations Population Fund. The ceremony of the opening of this meeting, so the participation of the program officers of the kind with the FNUP, Amin Abdul Qadir, and the head of the program department of the Ministry of Islamic Affairs, Mrs. Zainab Musa, and the Vice President of the network, Yahya Osman. The members of this network who came from Djibouti City and the inner regions. The agenda for this tour meeting was the adoption of the network work plan in 2018 and the evaluation of the results of the last regional workshops with the participation of a delegation from the national network in charge as well as inter alia of reducing the prevalence of female genital mutilation through sensitization awareness workshops at different components of the society. Day 4 of the activities of the medical surgical caravan in Ali Sabih and Dakhil on Tuesday, November 28, where the population of the south continues to flock in large numbers to receive a specialized care. In Ali Sabih, the civil society is also organizing to drain their patients from neighboring localities to the Ali Sabih Regional Hospital, where there are nearly 30 specialist doctors and technicians in the context of the health caravan initiated by the Ministry of Health. To date, there are more than 6,000 patients to have benefited from the various benefits offered by caravaneers of health, which makes an average of 2,000 registered patients per day. It is here we close our edition. Thank you for being with us on RTD and have a good night.